When my wife and I made the decision to move from Surrey to Abbotsford about 9 years ago, we didn't know what to expect. We had a few friends and a couple family members that lived in the area, but for us, we grew up in Surrey. There was rapid transit, it was a busier city, it was just a lot different. In this video, we're going to go over 3 things you need to know, specifically if you're thinking about making a move to East Abbotsford. These are going to be 3 things that nobody tells you, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a bonus 4th thing that you need to know if you live here in East Abbotsford. But before we get there, please do me a favor. If you find this content helpful, hit that like button and subscribe so that you can stay notified anytime that we have a new video, and let me know how I'm doing. There, you can drop me a comment down below. If you're thinking about buying or selling real estate, right at the bottom of this video, you're going to find a link to my personal calendar. If you have any real estate related questions, you're thinking about buying or selling, you can click that link and book a free, no obligation 15-minute phone call with me. Now, when we moved to Abbotsford about 9 years ago, my son was just about 2 years old. We made the decision to move east so that we could get a little bit more for your money. At that time, homes in Surrey were selling for just over about $1 million, and homes in East Abbotsford were selling in the high 700s to mid 700 range. We made the move to get ahead a little bit and to get more for our money. Now, when we moved to East Abbotsford, there's a couple things that we didn't know that I'm going to share with you. The first thing is, as you can imagine, with a community that's somewhat built on a hillside, there are a lot of hills here in East Abbotsford, which means a couple things. If you have a townhome or a detached home, you're likely going to have some sort of sloped driveways. So if you have kids, that means that if they're playing hockey or sports, riding their bike, the ball is likely going to roll down your driveway, and if they're riding bikes, it's likely going to be somewhat of a uphill bike ride depending on what community and what area you're in. Now, if you're looking at things in East Abbotsford like schools or like parks, you may want to consider moving to some communities that are close to those amenities. Otherwise, you're going to be getting in the car and you're going to be driving. I know one of the things about our old home in Surrey that we missed the most when we moved was we were able to just pack the wagon, throw the kid in the wagon, pack some snacks, and there were about 4 or 5 different parks that you could walk to from our home. When we relocated to East Abbotsford, there wasn't any parks close to the home that we had purchased, so we had to hop in the car and take a short drive to one of the schools or one of the close by parks. I mean, they're all pretty much within a 2 or 3 minute drive, but it is a bit of a pain in the butt to hop in the car and go and take a ride to go to a park or use a playground or something like that. So that's one thing to consider. Other thing is activities like riding a bike or going for a walk, walking the dog. If you happen to live on a steep hill or on an incline like I do, it's going to be a little bit different because you're going to be walking uphill or downhill or vice versa, right? All right, the second thing that nobody tells you about East Abbotsford that you should know is proximity to Highway 1. So Highway 1, obviously, if you're heading into Surrey or into Vancouver or out of town, heading in the opposite direction, heading further east, heading to Chilliwack or Hope, into Kelowna or the Okanagan. If you live in East Abbotsford, there are a lot of different feeder routes to get to Highway 1, and all of them are pretty close, which is a positive thing. So if you look at Walkham Road exit, for example, which everybody knows as the Castle Fun Park exit, that's one feeder route to get to Highway 1. If you live in East Abbotsford and you take the Walkham Road exit, it's only about 5 minutes up or down the hill, which is extremely close. Now, if it's a long weekend or there's a ton of traffic, the convenient thing about East Abbotsford is there's a lot of different feeder routes that you could get to get to a different exit. Sumas, for example, it's only about a 6 or 7 minute drive from East Abbotsford. You could take one of the many feeder routes, or even if you have to go a little bit further towards like the hospital and you're going to take McCallum Road exit, for example, or you're going to go to one of the Abbotsford Canucks games or something like that, there's quite a few feeder routes that you can avoid taking just the 1 or 2 basic ones to get to Highway 1. That is something that I learned over the years of somebody living in Abbotsford. You can improve your commute times depending on where you're going by taking many of those feeder routes, which is super convenient. All right, now the third thing that we're going to talk about that nobody tells you about is the wildlife. You need to be prepared for wildlife if you're moving to East Abbotsford, and that means that you're likely going to see things like raccoons at nighttime going through garbage cans. You're going to see the odd black bear or brown bear. Yes, there are bears in Abbotsford, just like there are bears in Coquitlam or Port Moody, for example, or parts of Chilliwack, as well as you're going to see the odd mountain lion or cougar, depending on where you live in East Abbotsford. There is a lot of wildlife here. I know one of the things we were not accustomed to was having to have things like bear bangers in the garage, or like a bell on our dog's collar, for example, if we're going to go for a hike in, out up in the backyard or up on Westview Terrace or on Augustin or Ledgeview or one of the many trails that we have in East Abbotsford. Something that we did not know, we kind of discovered as we moved to the area. You need to be prepared, especially if you're heading up into the woods or anything like that, or if you have like pets or something that you leave outside at nighttime. There's definitely wildlife in East Abbotsford that you need to know. Now, if you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching this video. I promised we would go over a fourth reason or a fourth thing that you need to know about living in East Abbotsford, and that is that the people in East Abbotsford are really easygoing. I find that in East Abbotsford, it's a little bit more relaxed. You're getting not an older crowd, but sometimes a more mature crowd, depending on whereabouts in East Abbotsford you are. People are pretty relaxed, and I think that that's a positive thing. So if you're thinking about making a move and East Abbotsford is on your list, you're gonna like the people here. Their people are really friendly compared to other parts of the Lower Mainland, and that's what I find anyways. I'm Joe Pratap with Remax, and I shoot a ton of content about what it's like to live in the Fraser Valley. If you're thinking about making a move to Abbotsford or East Abbotsford, shoot me a message and I'd love to discuss with you.